You know half the reason they tune in is to hear us banter.
Yeah, they don't hear they don't tune in to hear my Gollum impressions.
You never know. You give it a chance. They might.
My next episode.
Tell you what, we get one extra subscriber. I'll do it in Gollum's voice.
Alright, which one of you isn't subscribed?
I'm not, but I can probably get Tracy too.
I can't possibly do Gollum's voice for 3 hours. I need warm honey by the
I
gallon.
wouldn't say it had to be 3 hours just to introduce it.
Previously on USS Navis.
Well, go on then. Carry on.
No, I'm waiting for some more folks to turn up. Shaun and John are still not here, so John sometimes needs a bit of a prodding, but he looks like he's active, so let's send him a short message voiced. Warming up.
This is now you get a preview of the warm-up session. Me. You.
HIOU.
And live long and prosper to you too, suitable substrate. Welcome to the madness. And I do mean madness.
At 900 miles an hour. It's orbiting at 90 miles a second, so it's reckoned the sun that is the source of all our power. The sun and you and me and all the stars that we can see are moving at 1 million miles a day in an outer spiral arm 16,000 light years thick in a galaxy we call the Milky Way.
Such a crap song.
Yeah.
It's scientific, but it uses miles. What's with that?
Yeah, it's none of this imperial nonsense.
Don't worry, we'll be dragged that way with Brexit. Remember, that was a selling point.
What, then we get to go back to miles? Woo.
Yeah, imperial. No, I'm not joking. That actually was seen as an incentive.
What's happened is they got they read the briefing wrong. What it said was we're going back to Victorian times, whether we like it or not.
Well, admittedly, we do have the right honourable member from the 19th century.
To mention a
What is
frightening
the
number of... sorry, I spoke over people there.
No.
Does it mean somebody has to measure King Charles's foot again?
Yeah, good point.
King Charles' foot.
Do we call it a Charlie from now on then? Hey, Shaun.
How is the mic?
Question.
We'll go from there.
How do you break Mike so much?
Talent.
He found a way.
It's not even a cheap microphone you've got now.
None of them have.
Oh, I can hear him.
Yes, it's fine. We can hear you. John said he'd be along in
Obviously,
5 minutes, and here it is. Sorry, Jan, I talked over you there.
Obviously, it's all the mic drops.
Well, what?
Oh God!
Do you know it's me playing Alabaster quality jokes? That is, I approve.
Well then.
And today's jokes are brought to you by the letter 7.
Let's turn off the ship rumble and the plinky plonk, since we've now got the entire crew.
But I like the plinky plonk.
And we'll get the plinky plonk back in just a moment after this quick intro video. Excuse us. Ba-doop. And hello and welcome along to Star Trek USS Navis. I have my intrepid crew with me today. And we have some Blinky Plonk.
Yay, Blinky Plonk.
Welcome along, everybody. There was talk of me trying to do the intro in Gollum's voice, but it seems to have... Let's try and keep this within universe.
One more subscriber and Gollum will appear.
Excuse me while I shake my cam. Because, if we remember, the end of last week we were in a bit of a pickle.
I'd still like to point out, from my precognition, I will survive.
Well, yes.
Yeah, but also the alien has said that it's only observing, but clearly it's been dicking around. So.
And now it's a 12. Now it's a 12 rated. Well done.
It was always going to be a 12 rated. But yes. So, where are we? Well, shore leave was officially cancelled, let's say. The one time you guys get a holiday, and this
Shore leave isn't.
this
I
one.
put myself out there for your shore leave, and how do you spend it? Just running around fighting Klingons and Orions all over the space-time continuum.
I put one
Don't
of
know why I
shore
try
leave
it.
on very relaxing.
I was planning a nice, quiet, polishing the warp
Yeah.
core and watching the stars. And now my ship's burning to pieces.
Nova's just chilling. It's sort of like there's blood running out of her nose and eyes. It's sort of like an alien entity slowly possesses her. I am having so much fun.
Well, yes and no. The fun part, yes, probably. The possessing part, not quite yet. However, excuse me a second. Exposition time, yes. So, the crew of the Navis were in the Hefner Bay system to try and get some shore leave when an old Klingon battlecruiser turned up, acting suspiciously. And after following it for a bit, you found it trying to remove some evidence from around the event horizon of some kind of subspace anomaly. This anomaly started spewing forth gravitational waves and tetraionic emissions, and which, needless to say, has been causing havoc in a number of ways. The ships, both the Klingon ship and the Navis, have taken quite a battering as a result, with numerous bits of damage to the Navis having been sustained over the course of the last 2 episodes. Shaun, were you about to say something there?
Can I be heard of this? Can't.
Just about.
Yeah, be very quiet though.
Anyway, where was I? Yes, so weird time-related shenanigans have been occurring. Things that weren't there have been appearing. Things that were there one moment have reappeared somewhere else, and people have had glimpses of their past and their potential futures. So, shenanigans have ensued. There was an attempt to try and break free of the not only the strange tractor beams that seem to be emanating from the anomaly, holding both the Navis and the Klingon ship in place, but also as a means of trying to close the anomaly by having the Klingon ship detonate its warp core, which wasn't that difficult to configure because the thing had taken such a battering it was close to overloading anyway. But yes, you guys have had to deal with Orions, who are the ones who are actually piloting the Klingon ship, and they beamed over and have been attempting to take over the Navis, with little to no success.
Did we learn from the Klingon crew that the ship had been overran by Orions? Because I don't think we've ever confirmed that with them.
They said, I think Vibers said something along the lines of, I take it you've been having problems with the Orions, and the Klingon captain groaned and said, "Ah, yes," or something along those lines.
Indeed, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so the Orions did come from the D7, which...
There was quite a bit of swearing in Klingon. We just didn't translate.
Yes, so Captain Cannock, who is the captain of the Klingon ship, yes, he and some of his officers managed to finally appear when Natala and Vibers went over to the Klingon ship to try and reconfigure it in such a fashion that when it did detonate, it would go up in a way that would help you hopefully close the anomaly. The Klingon survivors were beamed over to the Navis, and the countdown went up where the Klingon ship was going to detonate, and unfortunately the Klingon ship did not detonate, and both the Klingon ship and the Navis were then drawn into the anomaly. There was a terrific flash and then darkness, and that's where we find ourselves today. Captain's log supplemental evidence. All shops have been badly scratched. Temple alarms have been tripping. Exists amount of paperwork, but I'm sure my first officer is ready. Yes, the captain's not looking forward to filing reports on this particular venture.
Well, that's what the first officer's for.
Vibers!
Chief Engineer's log. I have one system that hasn't exploded yet, and I'm not telling the bridge which one, so they can't find it.
Let's have a look, actually, that's a good point. Damage report on the Navis so far. Deck 3. Deck 3 is pretty horribly crumpled and damaged, and that happens to be where the primary shield generators are. So shields at the moment are a big old problem. Your weapon systems took some damage, but not too much. Engines, however, are now thoroughly offline. The structure, you've received some major structural damage, so getting from decks 1 and 2 to anywhere below 3, or likewise from anywhere below 3 to get to decks 1 and 2, is made extremely difficult by the fact that, yes, deck 3 is now a sorry state. However, the vast majority of the Orions have been rounded up. There's only one of them still, apparently, or maybe more, but mostly one of them, still making a nuisance of himself somewhere on the ship. But more pressing concern was the
just let Edwards put a medium current through the
Jeffries
tubes. We'll eventually find him.
Matt, I think you did say to remind you that I'd been trying to get his DNA from the disruptor left behind.
Yes, you have. Which might prove useful to a certain somebody when it comes their time to try something. But I'll leave that for the moment, as we...
Zap?
Well, quite.
We are not zapping.
But zap.
Alright, okay, so,
fair,
right, Mr. Edwards, right? No, Mr. Edwards
You know
wishes
I'm
to try
joking.
it, and you get into the Jeffries tube, Mr. Edwards, we need to check the voltage for this right before we try it on anyone else.
Or you can try the Natala's plan that should be trying to set up for ages.
Yes. Which was?
You've got
Okay.
that research.
Just to remind us.
The two sections of the transporters that I got Majid to take out. Which are both to do with interacting with the going out of phase from the pressing of the button. So basically, if we target the Orion signature, genetic or otherwise, with the transporters with no intention of transporting him, and he presses the button, instead of going out of phase, something else will happen. And I don't know what.
Yes, let's just turn him into spaghetti. Yeah, great.
No.
In the report for that.
I think it'll be fine.
Commander, I'm sorry, but that comes under the war crimes list.
Precisely, I'm not authorising
There's a
this.
reason we're not allowed. There's certain things engineers aren't allowed to tell you is possible. That's on the list, along with transporting half a warp core into a ship.
Only half.
That's the problem.
All right.
Actually, what's more likely to happen, basically, if you target them with either the Heisenberg compensator section or the basically the energy control section, and they try to activate their make everyone go out of phase thing, they just won't, because they won't be able to act like tetryon particles, and so they just will act normally. So basically, he'll go, "Aha! Now we're going to stop time and hide over there and run straight past you." And
I don't think it's him that's spending his time.
I don't think he's responsible for it, but I think he's gained control of it somehow.
It's the space things.
Interesting.
The thing that's observing us.
But
I'm
he's
pretty
not.
sure.
It's not
Wow.
intentionally them. They might be their power, but he's the one using it.
Interesting. We'll have to see, won't we? Which brings us nicely to everybody finally picking themselves up as they start to regain consciousness. Now, those that I am aware were on the bridge at the time are most everyone here except for Vibers and Edwards. Edwards was last seen somewhere in the vicinity of sickbay, but he's had time since to maneuver himself elsewhere, so...
Was the doctor on the bridge?
No, I
Doctor
was
was in
at
sickbay, very much. So.
I said Edwards probably would have got treatment before moving to his station with
Yes.
Vibers.
So we can assume that after leaving sickbay, Edwards would have proceeded to engineering to assist with everything there, and boy, do they need assistance. Power is definitely out for yourselves at the moment, so job
We need
one...
to replicate more bungee cords.
Job one is going to be conducting a hard reboot on all the ship systems if you want to get this thing up and working again, so...
Oddly enough, I've got a manual for that.
So whoever wants
Press
to
on
take it...
button.
I just
Wait.
imagine he's writing the manuals for these moments.
His collected memoirs.
Still saying manuals are the problem. They got us into this mess.
The ship has got a lot of manual operations.
Oh my
That was bad, and you should feel bad. Well done.
It's gonna be another. It's gonna be another
Bravo,
long night.
Although it was good in
Edwards.
its badness.
Secondary. You need one on the secondary core, and one on the impulse generators, and we'll give it a good kick.
So
It
this
depends
is
if
going to be...
I actually received treatment, I should say, beforehand. Can I put my health back up, effectively?
1, 2, 3, kick.
This will be a reason and engineering task with a difficulty 2, so whoever wants to lead and whoever wants to assist can feel free to nominate themselves nowish.
I'll
I'll
assist.
be leading. I need a couple of assists.
Alright, so Edwards has attempted to assist, but has got 0 successes so far.
Edwards is just standing there going,
Um,
ow, my arm.
Could I
Owie.
have an engineering Bravo?
You can definitely have an engineering Bravo. Let's see, where is he? Bop. Bravo engineer. So, can we get somebody to be Bravo engineer? I suppose Webby or Shaun? How about Shaun, since you were mostly voiceless last time, sadly, due to technical difficulties? If you could be a Bravo engineer for us and give us an assisted reason and engineering task.
Damage control and repair for focus.
Yeah. Good, definitely good call there. Nope. Alrighty. Okay, so it looks like it's all down to the chief.
And I can't help with the. Oh god!
1 success. You
I told
are.
you shouldn't use the books.
One sec.
You are able to succeed at cost if you really, really need to.
I'm
Oh,
also
there
able
we
to do a
go.
reroll because I burnt two momentum for it.
Yes.
Because I
You
have a
got
manual.
exactly what you needed. Okay. It takes a bit of doing. It takes a little bit of stress. But finally, the power is rebooted and resuited. So let's give ourselves a quick... Let's kick the lights up a little bit in here. Whee! Not to mention, we need to do a similar thing with engineering.
So the bridge crew are like, well, at least we know Vibers isn't dead.
And, of course, over in sickbay, the doctor who's having to work with getting patients back on their biobeds after the power went out and some fell out due to the impact, now being helped back into their beds. And and you eventually get the hum of power reactivating. So,
If I
all
was a betting
departments.
man, I'd say right about now, the first officer is saying, "Oh, well, at least we know Vibers is still alive."
So we just want to confirm that we currently have advantages for anything to do with the deflectors and anything
Yep.
to do with repairing the hull. Is that right?
Yep, sounds about right. So those two tasks will be less difficult. Or you can apply the advantage in some way as and when we get there. So, your first bit of business. Well, we do have general room ambience, so let's try and get the bridge back online. So the lights go up, and the hum of the power returning to the ship is a most welcome sound. So, well, whilst all this was going on, the giant alien head, identifying itself as Chew, was just kind of floating around on the bridge, watching everybody work.
And did he enjoy the experience?
There's
So can you share with him a
definitely...
first-person perspective.
Yeah, so Nova, with using her empathic link with the creature, was giving it a sense of what it's like to live in the present, in the moment. And Nova is getting back along the same link a very definite sense of curiosity. I could sum it up as best as I can with the phrase, "Oh, really?" So there's interest and there's curiosity. Not any kind of malign interest. It's not like, wahaha, these are creatures, I shall dissect them to see how they work. You're not getting any kind of malevolent intent out of these things. But just overwhelming curiosity and interest. Let me see now. So yeah, the Chew is just kind of bobbing around watching people, sometimes looking directly over people's shoulders to see what it is they're doing and what commands they're typing in, and just kind of nodding to itself and going, as it moves around the bridge.
So now that we've got power back, any idea where we are, Natala?
Well, Natala can access the external sensors.
Indeed.
And in doing so, gets this. You see nothingness. A black and featureless void. The only thing that you can make out in it is the singularity, or rather the anomaly, I should say. So you seem to have been brought to a different place? Maybe? It's very difficult to say. There's no stars, there's no evidence of planets, there's nothing.
I guess it's a matter of in order to confirm which kind of subspace we're in, we have to compare what subspace particles are around compared to what we would expect on theoretical models.
Either that or we're in a complete null space pocket, hence why we are getting no readings.
Yeah, well, that was exactly what I mean. Whether it's a actual null space or whether it's a void space, or there are several kinds of things which do exactly what a null space pocket does, and theoretically different kinds of null space pockets. But yes,
So
that is theory.
So it seems your best bet now would be to try and get some kind of data. Data capture going on. At the moment, your ship is still operating in low power. Bravo, break out the emergency duct tape. I didn't catch the rest. These bungee cords aren't enough anymore. Let's swing us back to the Navis bridge.
So the big issue is that a null space shouldn't have a chew in it.
Hmm.
You know, that's Natala's real issue with this situation.
We could just ask him if it's where he's from.
Okay.
Yes, this is indeed our home. We thought it best to bring you here to us, since communicating with you in your plane was causing disruption.
That was very kind of thoughtful of you.
It would have been nice to have been told that before being pulled in.
But we did.
Also,
Yes.
Concept.
Of course. Before. Suggesting the past and warning, therefore, of a future you were unaware of. Yes. Interesting.
Which does pose some interesting possibilities for leaving. And where in the linear timeline we would return to.
Nova gets a very definite spike of anticipation from the alien when Natala makes that statement. Should Natala make that statement out loud?
I believe she does.
If this thing was able to stroke its mustache tendrils in thought, like folks who watch the stream see me do occasionally with my chin beard, it would be doing that right now if it had hands. Yes.
So,
Well, go on. Sorry.
So it doesn't know, or it's just enjoying
If
the
it-
moment?
If it knows something, and Nova gets the very distinct impression that it knows something, if not many somethings, it's managing to keep knowledge of such stuff hidden from Nova. Either that, or the complexities of this creature's mind are such that Nova's only able to grasp the bits that she understands. It's a bit of a difficult one to tell. As has been already pointed out, Nova has already suffered a good degree of strain from initiating contact and holding it with these creatures. It seems to have lessened now, strain-wise. Maybe because you're in their home dimension, place, wherever this is. Maybe. You're not sure. Nevertheless.
So the question now turns to of why you brought us here then.
Excuse me a second.
We brought you here so that we could observe you more safely, without causing any more disruptions, though the anomaly is causing plenty of disruptions on its own, it seems.
We did ascertain that the anomaly wasn't their doing.
That's what they
Wasn't it?
told you.
Yeah.
Again, this thing is just... It's being maddeningly non-specific, and it's only answering questions when you directly ask them, so otherwise it's just hovering there with just looking at everybody. There's a good degree of expectation in those gigantic eyes and that strange expression.
Captain, do you want me to start working on how to make an anomaly?
Perhaps if we tried scanning what the anomaly is, at least get an idea of the anomaly itself before we started trying to recreate one, yes? See if we can get a...
It's a question of whether it would be recreating or being the ones who created it in the first place.
Well, exactly. We can focus and repair the sensor systems on the anomaly itself. Maybe if we sent a probe, it might get some more detailed readings.
Claude, press the button under your console.
Right. The problem with a probe at the moment is that any of your current sets of probes probably wouldn't withstand what's going on with the graviton pulses and the tetryon pulses. So you might need to at least configure one to see if you can get it to work.
Right, Claude, out you get. Go and have a look.
So whoever wants to try and reconfigure a probe, this is going to be a reason and engineering or a reason and science check. Difficulty 0, because there's not a heck of a lot of effort involved in configuring and launching a probe.
It definitely sounded like the captain was telling me to do it, so...
So the probe at least might help with a later sensor check, because your systems at the moment have taken quite the battering. So who's this? This is Natala programming a probe. Cool. So no effort needed there. 3 successes. Once again, I have to reload my screen because I can't see momentum and threat. The style sheet doesn't always load entirely the first time, it seems. Give me just a few seconds. Loading 100%. There we go. So, momentum down to 0. Okie dokie. So, anyway, that goes back up to 3. So you're halfway up again. So, yes, hardly any effort whatsoever, and Claude is able to press the button to launch the probe. Now, the probe isn't particularly maneuverable, and is having a hard time with the graviton pulses, but it manages to get to the event horizon of the singularity and is now sending back some preliminary data. It sends a good degree of data back to the ship before, unfortunately, the graviton pulses become so strong that they crush the probe like it was made of tin. However, making head or tail of the readings, somebody can give me a reason and science assisted by the ship's sensors and science. So, who hasn't been yet? If Jan wants to be the ship, and I don't know, somebody wants to try and the reason and science. Sounds like this might be Natala's bag, unless anybody else wants to jump in on the action. I will go with it being Natala's bag then. So that's 1 success. As for focuses... This is kind of focusing on a stellar phenomenon here, so...
I think, don't we have someone that deals with interstellar, does it, navigation
Sensor operations,
cartography?
yes. Sensor operations will work as a focus, though. So, there we are. 2 successes, 3 successes overall. Nice. I reckon you needed 2, so you get 1 over what you need. One goes back into the pool. The graviton pulses are being generated by the singularity itself, as are the tetrionic emissions. Such a phenomenon does not appear in any of the databases that you have. It does have similar effects to that of a black hole. So, yeah, similar to a black hole, but not entirely. this is technically a brand new and unobserved, at this point, phenomenon. So, Federation science protocol around this point is to usually give the phenomenon a name. Usually based on the ship or the crew that encountered it. So,
Nathan.
So far we've got Bob or Nathan.
Well, this is based off the ship, so Navis, Nathan.
Vachoom! Vachoom going once. Vachoom going twice.
Just name it the Latude phenomenon, and then Latude's just like, "What have you done? You've made me popular."
With science. Hear it up. Alright.
I mean, technically the Klingon vessel discovered it first, so it should go to them.
Actually, I quite like the idea of naming it after the D7.
Ooh.
We're at war with them, they don't count.
Yeah.
Science is science and war is war.
Yeah, and to be honest, these guys are out of sync with time, so they don't think they're at war with us.
You haven't established that.
I'm not entirely sure of that at all.
Because why else would they ask us not to shoot them? That they wanted to come in for just their own R&R.
And Captain Canuck is aware of us, and so therefore should be along our timeline. Huh?
Yes, but it's a very convenient lie for the moment, so neither of us has to admit that we realised we were in sync time-wise.
I think I'm following along with that, but... Okay,
That's one of us.
What Natala says and what Natala puts in the paperwork is two different things.
They were Klingons from before our time. Travelers.
They wrote in their paperwork
on the fourth
they
dimension.
were Federation people from before our time.
Klingons lost in time.
Different to what my suggestion was going to be.
Time warp.
Considering we went to the city of Hefner Bay on the planet of Hefner Bay in the Hefner Bay system, I was going to suggest we call this anomaly near all those the Hefner Bay anomaly.
Hefner Bay sinkhole.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Why not? So this thing appears to work very similarly to the observances of a black hole, for whatever that helps you with. So
the next question then is, from the data, can we determine whether it's artificial or whether it's naturally generated, or is that going to be an extended task?
Well, it would certainly, let me see. In that regard, you might need a bit more data. Plus, you're not exactly sure what effect it's having on the other side. So,
I think we're more or less experienced the effect it was having on the other side.
Well, yes. But you don't know how long it's been since you came through. There doesn't appear to have been that much of a lag of time since you came through the anomaly, but when last you were observing it, the graviton pulses were knocking the moons of the outermost planet of the Hefner Bay system out of orbit. And
but we're outside of main space, in a subspace pocket. If this were an ordinary null space pocket, as the commander suggested, time wouldn't be moving outside of it.
Or we could potentially move it backwards and go back to before they're out of orbit.
You do notice that here in this blank place, there's still this occasional sub-audible boom kind of sound, like just like somebody had beat a very big drum some way away, and you just feel the vibration in your feet. There are still regular pulses coming from, more than likely, the anomaly, the aperture. But they don't seem to be anywhere near as bad on this side. At least not until you get close enough to the eye of the thing that it crushed the probe, so...
Are we emanating, like, chronoton particles the same way as things from inside the anomaly were emanating tetryon particles.
Interesting. Why don't you give me a control and science check aided by the ship's sensors? I'm going to make this difficulty 2 because it's not the easiest thing to detect. And can I get... who hasn't had a go yet? Gareth, can I get you to be the ship's sensors and science, please? So that's 0 successes, 3 successes. Dang! Another one. One again over what was needed. The ship definitely is now radiating tetryons, yes. So, yes, the ship and the occupants have become somewhat saturated by tetryons. Right about this time is when you get, for lack of a better word, something comes over the comm channel. Give me a moment.
This is Captain Vess. I am through playing games with you people. I have now managed to find my way into your life support system. I demand your immediate and unconditional surrender. Turn this ship over to me right the hell now.
Can we just turn him off?
Will blow us all.
Shall we just ignore that, Captain, and just send security to life support?
If he is in life support...
Then security personnel to go and get the emergency respirators and go and deal with him. I'm quite happy to go and lead the assault down if you wish, Captain.
If you wish to, Commander, so be it. Take
Oh,
whatever
definitely.
you need.
Yeah. Hey, Captain. Captain Canuck, do you want some revenge on the Klingon, on the Orions?
I thought you'd never ask.
Alrighty, who's going to see to a very naughty Orion?
We'll send some security teams as well. So Bravo security and the Natik attack, we'll just go for the full combo.
Okay.
Are we able to actually sense in where he claims to be, just in case he's actually trying to misdirect us?
Yeah.
You can indeed get a sensor scan that will not need anything. Internal sensors reckon that he is indeed inside of the control center for life support. It looks
Perhaps
like
it's
he's
worth,
barricaded the door.
Perhaps it's worth the captain offering to buy some time to allow the command codes to be transferred over.
Okay.
As part of an operations task, could I drain the power out of that room so there's no artificial gravity or support?
You can. Yes. You are. Nova appears to be mistress of power allocation, so yes, that should be easy enough for you to do. I mean, you've got 5 momentum now. You're pretty high up there. Shouldn't need to do anything too much. Be right back, Tony. Okay, no problem. So
If there is a task involved that I can generate more power, so I'll roll if it.
So yeah, usually power-related tomfoolery tends to be daring and engineering, if I recall.
That's...
So let's have a look. So it's usually difficulty... I think it's 2. Let me have a quick check on that. Position tasks, internal systems, power management is indeed difficulty 2. Yep. No assistance from the ship. It's all down to talent, which means you get 3, so it's 1 over what you need. You can either put that 1 extra momentum into the pool, or you can spend that 1 extra momentum in giving you even more power.
I'll put that into the power and also spend an extra one with a little more power to give us.
Nice. So you get one back from that, and one back from that, and one back from that. So that's a lot more power churned out of the core. Thanks to Viper's getting it started, and Nova knowing her ship very well, she's managed to tease a good degree of power back into the systems now. So very nicely done. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Bravo, Ensign Natik are already waiting outside the door to life support control. And Commander Andrews and Captain Cannock managed to find themselves outside of that area too. Is anybody else going? Or are they letting Andrews handle this?
Vipers is going, my ship needs duct tape.
And
Jan?
he'd be commanding me, so as much as Edwards has a predisposition against Orion's...
Actually, Edwards, go deal with it. I can't lead engineering.
No, and also Andrews probably wouldn't like him to be there given what he's already said, so let's leave it as he's following orders.
Jan, were you about to volunteer something?
I think I'll sit this one out.
Okay. If you're sure.
Unless there's screaming and shouting, then I'll get down there.
And are people sure we don't want to have a target lock on him in case of non-linear shenanigans?
Interesting. That's a good question. Does somebody want to try and get a transporter lock on this fella?
Have I been able to send the DNA information to them to help with that yet?
Ooh, good point. I'm going to go with yes, because it wasn't very difficult for you to have that strand of DNA right in front of you. And you did say you were holding on to it for just such an occasion, so...
Yep.
It's all there, ready and loaded for you for whenever you want to use it, so now...
Yes, Andrews pops by sick bay because he wants to shoot him with his own disruptor, but I'm assuming the DNA is the smarter option.
Yeah, so, feeding the DNA information that Bertram got, he is able to feed that to the guys in charge of sensors, who are able to determine that, yes, indeed, it seems that Uldar Vess, the Orion captain, appears to have secreted himself on the other side of the door to one of the control panels for life support. How he gained access will probably more than likely be something like a Jeffrey's tube, or maybe even Nova's cat run. So, you are now stationed outside. There are some of you still stationed outside, outside of this place. So what would you like to do? The door has been partially sealed, and it's going to involve a good bit of timing, I think, if you're going to pull this off, because if he's threatening to do something, then there's a chance he might get a shot off. So what exactly would you like to do? The order of events kind of thing. You've got a lock on him, so if he tries to get away, you've got something. Webby's having problems. You want to try... you want to electrify the room.
No, I'm not there, I can't.
Slip in through the cat run. Interesting. Is Nova willing to give away her little secret of how to navigate the cat run?
Yeah. What?
Okay. So, Captain Cannock is probably going to wait outside the door to life support, waiting to job up whoever comes out. But whoever's going to be going into the cat run, there's only going to be one of you able to do it at a time. So who is using the cat run to jump on this fella? Seeing as Webby suggested it, is Andrews going to be creeping about through the cat run in order to exercise this plan, or get someone else to do it? Do we think?
Oh.
Oh?
There's an interesting bit about Deck 11. As per usual, I'm grabbing the deck plans up as we're talking.
Cool.
We've got a shuttlecraft repair bay right next to like main life support. That's quite a lot of ammunition.
That's a good point. Where is life support? Let's have a look. Primary shield generators on deck 9.
You're on 11.
Yeah, 11. I've got primary machine shop, primary maintenance support center, shuttle bay 4 and aft for access for deck 12.
Ah. Damn. These deck plans don't match up. Never mind.
Yeah, they don't always, unfortunately. Like deck operations and maintenance.
No, but we did the structure when she put in the captain.
That'll be it.
Enlisted personnel, living quarters, stellar cartography, lower forward torpedo bay, chief science officer, armory, firing range, going down. Fight operations, living quarters, transporter rooms, armory, tactical officer, chief officer station. So, anyways.
Never mind.
Environmental control was on deck 16, so it's also on deck 18. So make of that what you will.
Okay.
I don't find life support. So. We'll find out what deck it's on later, but for now, 0G rumble, foot like a butterfly and sting like a bee. Thank you, Ensign Atik. Yes. So
my plan, although you've probably all discussed a plan without me.
Well, no.
Is that we create a deliberate distraction at the front door, so like Bravo and Atik can be like banging on the door, whilst Captain Canuck and I slip round through the cat run.
If everyone's all right with that. Let's give it a go.
Sorry. Someone is refusing to go to sleep. Every time I come downstairs, he's flipping nodded off, and then 10 seconds later, he starts squealing again.
Okay, that's
Welcome
fine.
to kids.
Welcome to kids, yeah. Alrighty. So, I suppose first thing I'm going to have to do is to give Andrews and Canuck a control and security check to see if they can get in unnoticed. Banging on the door will indeed keep Captain Vass occupied as he starts shouting, "Don't make me do it! I've got a disruptor targeted right at your life support systems!" And rants to that effect.
Yeah.
I was about to say you'd confiscated his.
Let's say he has confiscated it. Dang it. So who have I missed so far with rolling? Who hasn't had a roll?
Probably me.
Okie dokie. You can be Captain Canuck then.
Okay. So.
Let me see if I can give you access to him. Can you access him? Is my first check.
No.
All right. Let me change that. Let me give you guys a. How about now?
Give me a quick second.
Yes. Excellent. So, Captain Bess is shouting and screaming and looking very, very stressed, so we're going to need, 1 dice, control and security. No real focus for Captain Canuck, but as far as Andrews is concerned, then, battlefield tactics.
Yeah, I'm also going to burn preservation of life determination. I don't want to mess this up.
And this guy is going to be against his insight and security to see how well he notices.
I don't think I have a button to roll.
That's fine. Just roll a d20.
So it'll be get under 15.
Oh no! It's not that one. It's the other one. Veteran, isn't it? Veteran. There we go. Veteran. There we go.
All right, roll that. You do get it back. Well done.
Yay!
Excuse me while I have to scratch my ear.
Okay,
So, Canuck being a Klingon is not very subtle. So Vess hears him coming as he gets the vent open, which thankfully allows Andrews to slip in there without being noticed. Now, you needed... What was Vess? Vess was... Oh, he even got a complication, so it was him being distracted by Captain Cannock. 5 successes, I added 2 back to the momentum pool. You've got 3 remaining if you want to use them for anything, which could include very much slapping a chokehold on this guy.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I was just going
You
to
just stopped at slapping him.
No, I wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't going to slap him. I was going to punch him straight square in the nose and break his nose.
Cool.
So they don't do it too hard
strike.
with this, be honest. You come out the other side.
An arm strike, and you get to add 2 extra. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7 and a knockdown. Ba-boom. Vess gets spun around and then chinned quite thoroughly as he's dropped with a very resounding thump to the floor. This gives Natik and Bravo the time they need to open up the doors with the emergency manual override, and they can just pile in and uphold our Vess.
4-on-1 slobber knocker.
Well, I was going into the assumption that being security officers, Natik and Bravo would just basically put him down on his front and then cuff his hands behind him.
Andrews just subtly messages Bertram and says, I need a body bag in life support. No questions asked.
Since he's still conscious as he's being dragged away, Vess just keeps on yelling and screaming, "You do not mess with the Tarn!" As he's dragged away, kicking and screaming.
Nah, he's being knocked unconscious. Andrews is really not in the right.
No, Andrews, just correct him and say, "Don't mess with the Vess" would have been a better thing to scream.
Indeed. So one has to wonder why he said that.
So, no sense of poetry.
So, yes, one security... not exactly threat. How should we classify Vess? Annoyance? Nuisance? Scamp?
Try hard.
So, moving on. Vess has been apprehended, and Cannock enjoyed the sight of him being chinned and then dragged away, kicking and screaming before he was summarily coshed over the head.
Yeah. On the way down, Andrews will subtly ask the question to Cannock of saying, "What is going on in the like?" Just to try and gauge, see whether they are from our timeline or whether they are from behind.
Cannock replies, definitely to the tune of, they seem to be very much from your time.
Okay, cool.
Because he does mention Chancellor Gowron and General Martok and their plans to, retake all the previous systems that they had held during the height of the glorious Klingon Empire. He admits that he's been struggling of late with a number of defeats. Excuse me, I keep getting itchy nose. He's been suffering a string of defeats, which of course has been meaning that his crew have been looking at him like they want to replace him. So it was almost fortunate in some ways that the Orions came along when they did, because it gave them an enemy to fight, but then unfortunately they lost, as the Orions used, well, subterfuge. And they fought dishonorably in order to gain access to their ship. What the Orions wanted with their ship, Captain Cannock does not know. That was beyond what he was able to overhear from what Vess and his cronies were saying, but nevertheless, Cannock and the survivors of his crew were slammed into a cargo container in order to basically keep them quiet while the Orions had the run of the ship.
So what happened to the Orion vessel? Was that destroyed, or did that leave?
Cannock at least seems to have some pride in the fact that he said, "Yes, we were able to get some telling shots off against the Orion raider." It was a larger vessel, a type of which I haven't seen in a long time from the Orions. Nevertheless, we did some punishing blows, and were able to at least overload their core, but not before the Orions were able to disable our shields and then beam their entire crew aboard. And that's when we were overrun. Much to my shame, but thanks to you, I have regained a measure of my honor. However, I hear that my ship did not detonate. This was meant to be the sacrifice of my glorious vessel. It seems even in that I cannot get a win. None of which is your problem, of course, Commander. Klingon honor. You wouldn't understand.
I'm just going to show him my ductag and say, I completely understand honor, Captain.
I see. You have a noble house's crest on that ductag. Cool. Impressive. He is an unusual Klingon, that one. But he does have the Chancellor's ear. For how much longer, I'm not sure. Last I remember being told, Akul was not viewed favorably by Martok.
OC, I wonder why.
Meta! Anyhow.
Yep.
You do eventually manage to make it back to the bridge. So. So. The captain basically summarizes the situation as this. Well, you're on the other side of the anomaly now, so there's that to try and figure out how to get back to your side of your actual side of the anomaly. There's, of course, the question of the Ghee'Tchu'Nee, or Chu, as this one has decided to identify itself as, and the question of what they're going to do in order to try and stop the anomaly from wrecking the last planet in the Hefner Bay system. There's still the deep bass thrum of graviton waves going off from the anomaly, meaning that it's still very much active. The captain...
See,
Pardon me, go on, keep on going.
So I was just going to say is that I agree with Natala, is that we need to start thinking in two-dimensional time. And if we can work out how to go back before the potential of the event horizon, we can potentially stop it from occurring.
Hang on a second, I just need to find the right voice.
Very interesting. Please, pray continue. How would you propose to do this?
We could always slingshot.
Sorry,
we could always slingshot ourselves around the singularity. I'm pretty sure there's still some recorded reports of it being done.
It's a possibility. That would require some very finesse flying and a good degree of duct tape. So
ignoring up the deck 3.
Yeah, just ignore deck 3. Well, what we do is we just detonate the bulkheads on deck 3 and it collapses, and then we have deck 2 and deck 4 together. You know,
so you eject
Commander Andrews, I've got a odd premonition that I need to talk to you on the comm at the moment. Something about do not follow the old Orion protocol. We are not using quantum torpedoes for nuclear pulse drive to get around the singularity.
Look, this just sort of like Vibers just manages to patch the comms just to have this argument, and then it just breaks up again. It's like,
well, this is a good point for maybe the senior crew to come together and have a confabulation about what they think they need to do in order to solve the situation you're currently in. So, if this is a job for getting everybody to the conference room, or finding somewhere where you can have a confab, especially because Deck 3 is still currently impassable.
Not easily impassable, because...
Well, it's not impassable,
sure.
but it's difficult.
Yeah.
It's time-consuming to pass.
Yeah.
Party on the holodeck?
Party on the-
Well, we just need to be somewhere where we can explain what our sensor readings that we got before it got
Okay.
crushed.
Do you know
amount
what?
to.
Do you know what? The holodeck is not actually a bad idea because you
Yeah.
could visualize it in in 4-dimensional space.
Thank you. You actually recognizing an idea.
Here we are.
I wasn't saying it just for a laugh. I tried to say things that are intelligent and funny.
Lady.
It's neither one nor the other.
Oh, it was an intelligent idea, and it was vaguely funny. You laughed at first.
Gonna have to, unfortunately, the main holodeck is on deck 3, so you're gonna have to use one of the hollow suites on the lower decks.
No, it's fine. It's fine. We just put some duct tape on the walls and hold it in place. Everyone, deep breath as we enter into the holodeck,
Depends
please.
how much, how many people can the hollow suites actually hold?
Well, I'm gonna give you a look at the holodeck now.
Guys, if the holodeck was on...
That's the size of the
We're currently in a
holodeck.
void.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
can you
just
not
see
see
a black
it?
screen and only
Beg your
my
pardon.
token.
I didn't complete work.
Just remember, if the
Turn the
holodeck
lights
is on
on.
deck 3 and that deck is wrecked, it probably means the safety protocols are off.
Wait a minute, that thing's shrunk.
So,
Okay, that's the holodeck.
he has shrunk a bit, hasn't he? He shrunk to get through the door.
He's compartmentalizing himself to get through.
Where is the... Here we are.
I think we get Dr. Bertram here. To be honest, I would also be in... Because the
Bertram
Klingons...
should be here.
The Klingons have also had a lot of... Well, this captain seems to have a lot of dealings with stellar phenomena from what we've gathered from the report.
Alrighty. Anybody else you want to bring in on this?
Mr. Minoko.
Yeah, Mr. Minoko, we need drinks.
I was going to say, if we're going to have a party, then yeah.
It's not a party.
I was thinking more dinner evening kind of thing.
It's a works gathering. with
It's
cheese
a
and wine.
works party.
It's not a work party, it's a work gathering with cheese and wine.
I know what you meant. Oh.
Bojo, this is all your fault. And the rest of the
Hey, it's
Tories.
Luckily, he's in more trouble.
Yeah, it's
He might
fine.
actually get arrested.
Moving swiftly on. So yes, this is the size of the regular holodeck. The hollow suites that you've got on some of the lower decks are smaller. So just going to have to go with it being not as big a room as this. But this appears to be a hollow suite. So let's just get a general room ambience going where you didn't have things before. So you've invited Captain Cannock along, and he feels, well, quite honoured. And of course, without being asked to, Chew kind of floats along behind you all as the main group of you, at least as you all make your way towards the hollow suite.
Yeah. Is it also worth bringing Hello, because Hello doesn't think like a human and is therefore more capable of extrapolating on four-dimensional objects in a three-dimensional plane.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Sure.
What was the name of Cannock's ship again?
I would have to look back through it. Give me a second. That's Cannock himself. Where's the ship? Naturally, they don't give us the name of the ship. Yep.
It's a very interesting ship name, the do-do-do-do-do-do.
Translate as the Pride of Shannon.
Run.
It translates to the USS Hefner Bay.
The IKS Ghee'Tchu'Nee set. Wow. The Ghee'Tchu'Nee set.
There's a keyboard set.
Let's go with sure.
I'll have you know that's a great insult between Klingon. How dare you, Mr. Edwards? And you're supposed to be the cultural linguist.
That was an Alex mishearing things.
Okay. You've gathered folks together.
So, before we discuss the possibilities of what we would need to do to control our exit point in time back into regular space, we first need to establish which of the laws of physics actually function within this subspace. We do have some readings to extrapolate from.
But you're asking Chu about where you are. There you are.
There's well, we
Based
could also
on how
check.
we have power, and we haven't exploded yet, antimatter containment is still working, so electromagnetism's probably fine.
Yeah, so which we are also not. The artificial gravity is still working, so we have gravity. So that's two of the forces. So that leaves the weak nuclear and the strong nuclear. The fact that we haven't pulled all of our cells haven't pulled apart suggests that the two nuclear forces are still working in this space as well. Sorry, Andrews doesn't know this. Andrews is a tactical officer. Science words.
We're just covering the basics. So, but we've got to, as we were finding for ourselves on the planet, and then later, when we returned to the ship, it's not the basic principles that are erroneous to our regular experience when either side of this anomaly.
Are the ship's chronometers actually recording time?
They appear to be, yes, but let's remember that Starfleet, at the very least, warp ships have got that relativity. Oh, what do they call it?
Within the shields, things work slightly differently.
Yeah.
Relativity compensators.
Yeah, that was the thing.
How our time matches up when we're not at warp with when we are at warp.
Yes, that was it.
Otherwise, you'll never get your uncle's birthday ever again, Captain.
Quite. Chu is appears to be more than happy to speak up at this point.
The Ghee'Tchu'Nee exist in a continuum that has non-linear time. We exist in all times simultaneously or in no time period at all.
So the question then becomes of how do you choose to be here now?
How do you know how to breathe? How does your heart know to beat?
Well, I'm not exactly equipped to answer that question because my heart runs by an electrical signal. But then again, everyone else's does to an extent.
Dr. Bertram would give probably a much more technically correct answer than Gareth could, but something along the lines of it's automated directly into the basic building blocks of our physiology, both biological and psychological. It allows our systems to be able to work their basic functions without conscious thought, and therefore makes it both more efficient and requires our conscious leaves our conscious thoughts more open to deal with our environment.
Exactly.
There's also a possibility that, as far as the way it's working for us now, both given our compensators and the way that the probe behaved and then behaved itself by imploding, that there's an element of observation as well, that as linear observers we are imposing linear time.
There is a slight benefit to us being here at the moment, which is the ship isn't actively trying to explode into a million pieces?
But it could be. The D7 could also be doing the same.
And probably is within a certain frame of reference.
So what you're saying is if somebody beams over there to have a look at the D7, it'll probably explode.
Potentially, because we're looking at it at the point in which we entered the system.
Edward's field trip?
And this was the point he realised he was the only human on board the changeling ship.
Captain Cannock is just scratching his head at all of this.
So what if we used the time that we're not experiencing to fix up the ship as best we can, and then potentially choose innate nature to act as a guide to find our exit point?
And what is our ideal exit point where we could?
It has to.
Yeah, it has to be before the destruction of the planet, basically.
I think we use Cannock for that, and we can try and potentially get him his ship back. If we can get back in that fight, we can assist.
I concur, because the Orion specifically wanted. Why don't we actually go and have a chat with our Orion friend? The captain may not say anything, but some of the other crew might say of the reasoning behind. But I do think is that if we can stop the Orions from getting the Klingon vessel, that potentially is the point of where something happened. And whether it was, as Captain Cannock said, is that if it was the Orion vessel that when it detonated created the instability to create this temporal anomaly, this would mean that the actual anomaly creation is Captain Cannock's rather than ours. So it would be known as Cannock anomaly, the Cannock anomaly.
I feel honored that you wish to name a destructive anomaly in space after me. Not entirely sure I know that my Klingon fellows will agree. However,
it will bring great honor.
They
will know my name.
The other question, I guess, that's worth posing at this point is: does anyone have any objections to confused temporal states?
Nova is definitely getting a really big jolt of enthusiastic interest from Chew at this point. His mustachy feelers are waggling very excitedly.
Say that we needed to use the destruction of Captain Cannock's ship and also aimed to exit at a point where it still was intact and undetonated, and then did not require it to detonate to complete its pattern. So that it would...
We're creating a time paradox there, though.
Yes, but that was my question. Does anyone have any real objections to paradoxes, if necessary?
We're not also potentially creating a continual temporal loop, so this will have to always happen but not happen.
That's the advantage of being in a subspace area.
This isn't our problem. This will be part of the temporal security to deal with.
Another department's problem.
Yeah, it is. It's totally another department's problem. We just need to get out of here.
But in a more general sense, these subspace pockets sort of don't obey those rules anyway, so I'm not sure we can get into a loop paradox in a subspace pocket. I don't think that can happen here.
Well, as far as we're concerned, it's our future, not our past. We weren't involved, so for us it's not a problem. It's technically just a problem for the Orions and the Klingons.
The problem that we have is if we go to that point, there is potentially going to be two Navises existing in space.
Only temporarily. Only until we go in.
Yeah.
Unless...
Nova's getting the feeling that Chu really wants to say something, but is holding back.
Unless we can link ourselves to ourselves in the other place.
Or we could remove our earlier selves from the timeline before we got to the point where we entered. Like, we show up and immediately delete our previous selves.
I don't see it's right to go murdering myself. There's definitely laws against that.
And if you're going to start paradoxing, why stop there?
It's not a paradox for us.
No, exactly.
And besides,
Well, I must say this is all very intriguing. Your kind definitely shows a great deal of potential. Now, of course, to see if you can actually pull it off.
Hey, we made a dark matter. Well, I didn't. I wasn't there. But this crew has made a dark matter flywheel. I'm pretty sure we can make anything.
Interesting.
The question is, how much of it can we do without your assistance? Given enough unobserved time, but we can probably manage something.
Well, again,
Go on, sorry.
if time here is of no, we are not. I think it's worthwhile we switch off the ship's chronometer, because then we'll get an accurate reading of what the. Well, so it desync it so that we can actually work out how long time is it. Because if time is not proceeding here, we have an infinite amount of time to carry out an infinite amount of repair.
That means we have no shields. Potentially.
We've got an infinite amount of time. Again,
Yeah, but an infinite amount of time while under
ship systems to be in sync, otherwise things start to go weird.
And also, whilst we aren't under any temporal pressure, we are under a certain amount of pressure from graviton particles, and in fact waves.
But the graviton wave here is not actually causing any damage to the ship.
No, but it is present. And being in an infinite amount of time, being eroded by a non-damaging but still present wave of gravitons, we could just eventually find ourselves pumped and pulped just from time catching up with us, basically, or gravity catching up with us, more accurately.
I have an alternative plan, but you're not gonna like it.
The captain arches an eyebrow at this. Color me surprised.
You're talking about this being observed time we're trying to reduce. And I'm assuming only people count as observers?
So you're talking about putting people to sleep?
Everyone apart from the engineering team.
They mean to take over. I knew it.
We'll be so rushed off our feet we won't even look at a clock.
So if nobody looks
By
at
the
a
time
clock,
you wake, if no one looks at the clock and no one is observing time all over the ship, then there's more of
Surely,
it.
to some degree, every sentient being observes passage of time, even if it's only in a subconscious way.
Medical stasis?
Do they?
Time is measured by change.
Apologies are correct. Everyone who exists in a linear time observes that linear time passing, even if it's just in the way of the subconscious making a note that, we are still breathing at a regular rate, our heart is still beating at a regular rate. There is that subconscious observance of time passing.
Doctor, how much facility do you have for medical stasis aboard?
just before you answer that, Jan, you had something to say?
Well, a measure of time is by measuring change, so it's very difficult to not measure time subconsciously.
And the doctor? responding to Natala's question.
Medical stasis. Are we talking medical stasis on the entire crew? That's a big ask for a spur of the moment thing. That would take quite some time to set up.
Well, could we not just... So it's observed time, so if you're unconscious, you are not actively observing, you're passively observing, so could we not put the entire crew into a slumber by either lowering the oxygen content on the ship or injecting a knockout agent into the atmosphere?
Maybe. Some would have to be synthesized and created. It'd be a quicker way to do it. As long as the damage that we've gone through hasn't actually knocked out certain critical connections, I'd assume. At which point I'll look to Vibers, as he's probably got a better idea of if the ship's in a physical state to be able to do that than I do.
I'm curious as to what happened with Hello, with him switching off his chronometer.
So far, Hello is reporting errors.
I can do the same, because, part cybernetic, but it's probably going to hurt quite a lot.
It doesn't hurt so much as Andrews just gets a load of reporting errors.
We have to turn her off and on again. Joking.
You're still getting visual data fed through your bionic into your brain. That's a continuous process.
But we are okay, so we are okay. So it's only just seeing an error message. We are not seeing any dilation of time, etc. from that experience.
We don't know. We can't detect it. We turn the clocks off.
Well, okay, there are.
We also don't have working radar or sensors because we turn the clocks off.
This is making my brain hurt going back to university level physics and going, I did this at university and time dilation is part of some of the bits that I studied.
Nope. So, need to get the ship so we're not going to fall to bits when we try and get back. And we need a plan to get back. Split the crew. I'll take everyone who can hold a spanner.
We need to work out the when, and from the subtle hint that we were provided by our guest here is that we potentially do need to change the past so that we're at the point of where we need to be and not where we were.
Nova, when Chu hears Andrews say change the past, there's the mental sensation of sucking your air in over your teeth.
Like that.
He didn't like that one. I don't think we should do that.
And
Very much.
The other possibility is that we just don't alter anything with expected time, and we just use the benefit of this extra time to do what would normally be impossible. Just use this as an infinite prep time zone to be perfectly prepared with the perfect plan to fix everything. And we just come out of the anomaly ready to go, save the planet, do all of the things.
I think there is a possibility of linking up with our past selves, but not changing anything. You seem
Perhaps,
to want us to
okay.
link.
Okay, so subspace messages travel through. Right. So in theory, could we not set up a subspace message? So we are not we are indirectly conversing with the ship.
Is it possible, just throwing it out there, that we've already done that and that's what's been causing these hallucinations we've been having?
Interesting question. There's definitely
So
an enthusiastic response from Chu at that point.
The effect that we had, how many do we have? About half a dozen.
All
About half
the
a...
senior crew, wasn't it? And a couple of other people.
Yeah, but talk about instances. So I don't think these were necessarily... If we take those as being side effects of transmissions to the ship, and that basically our being affected by visions was a side effect.
Or there was something in those visions that was the message. I'm pretty sure I remember once reading the Enterprise going through something similar, trying to send some sort of subconscious message that was picked up and translated in a non-obvious way. Can't remember the details though.
Yes, that was when they met the Kelvin.
Possibly, I don't remember the details. I just remember reading
I
something
think
about.
you're
Who got
thinking
useful?
of the Bozeman.
The Bozeman, yes.
Would it be an idea for each one of us to actually go through and describe what we were hallucinating, or hallucinating in inverted commas, to see if we can find any sort of clues or patterns, or ascertain that it was just a side effect? Either way, that might help.
If that was the assumption, I was shown a specific data pad during mine.
What was on the data pad?
Something that didn't seem very important at the time.
I mean, is it worth just group going through it? Exactly what we all saw?
As the doctor said, yes, definitely. And Natala was saying that she picked up a data. She had a data pad.
Yeah.
So that data pad was. You saw that data pad for a reason.
Mine was an argument I had with my father before I broke away from the family business of raiding and selling artifacts. I hidden some of a latest find because I didn't want to sell it. I wanted to save it, try and get it to somewhere that could appreciate it, study it, use it for some good, rather than just to sit in some rich debutante's mantelpiece.
Out of interest, where's your alien hand then?
Sorry, what? Oh, that's with Tannenbaum.
That's with Tannenbaum.
Not Tannenbaum, sorry. Fanfare?
You.
Taliaferro, sorry.
Taliaferro.
Wrong name.
The truth will out.
Not only are you a human on this changeling ship, you're in line with her.
It took me a moment to recall what you referred to.
You know she's still a registered therapist, right?
Claims a lot. But
yes,
yes,
you're not the one that does the duty log. She is definitely not on this ship.
everything I acquired, I handed over for research that could be shared.
Okay, so technology that we've recently that is on board is Tilical technology. But who's next on memories-wise? Because mine, I don't know how relevant mine is, because mine wasn't my past, mine's potential future.
Mine had no bearing at all to anything, really. I think
I think we should describe what we saw, even if we don't think that it's relevant, because you never know.
Well, mine was basic training and phaser, which I haven't used in a long time. And then
basic training in what?
Phasers.
Phasers, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I saw through it, I think, and it became Chew temporarily. So I think I didn't really experience it.
I saw my previous host last day. This was not something I'd experienced from the inside before.
Yeah. I saw Chew. Maybe Chew is the one that sends the messages for us.
Chew just floats there impassively for the moment, but has got quite a few excited twitches of the old moustache tendrils going on.
He might not have sent them yet.
Oh, we have to tell him what to send, and I think he's the one that communicates for us rather than having to come up with a plan.
Juice, you said you saw a potential future. What was happening in the potential future that you saw?
So,
I believe this is Andrews,
the Navis was dealing with an altercation between the Klingons and an Orions. There was a Klingon vessel that was very heavily damaged. It was a. Correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, but it was a Klingon transporter.
Yep, cargo hauler
Yes.
kind of thing.
Yeah, rather than a battle cruiser. Was being raided, and we were the only vessel in the area. And there was a change of our command structure, which has worried me a little.
Who wants to go next with their experience? So we've had Edwards, we've had Andrews, we've had Nova. Jan? Does Cabal want to go next?
Well, I saw the time where I lost my eye when I was with Captain Ducasse, and we on the ship, and we were investigating an anomaly, which went critical in some way. The ship was badly damaged. I was injured.
Okay.
So it's from my past, but I believe there was some differences. I can't recall exactly what they were.
Right. Captain, have you had any hallucinations?
I did. I was back at the academy. The final exam. However, rather than my uncle being the chair giving out the awards, it was actually Andrews, which was interesting. And Blackthorn wasn't there.
I'm pretty sure I wasn't an admiral prior to my accident.
And I'm pretty certain that the rank on insignia on your lapel wasn't Admiral either when I had this experience, so... Odd indeed. But, my counterpart... If I could just remember his name for a second... Blackfoot. He was there. But he spoke with Bertram's voice, which is what helped snap me out.
More inconsistencies in your than in others. Who else has inconsistencies?
Was that Natala asking what were the consistencies or what were the inconsistencies?
No. Who else had inconsistencies? So Andrews had one.
Well, I saw potential future, so
Yeah.
I have very little past other than returning to active duty from the Navis and recovering, so...
So your two visions stand out, unless other people also can identify things that aren't right in theirs.
My one is different because I haven't had any sort of scenes of like either past or future. A couple of times on the planet, and then when it returned to the ship, things have moved. Like several times, which I would put down to maybe some weird recurring hallucination. Normally, a datapad moves from someone's hand to another table. My tricorder went from my belt to one of the biobeds. But the last time it happened, a sample of Bertram moss that I'd previously lost when the Orion Storm sickbay reappeared basically in my hand at a moment when Vess basically had his attention turned from me to his men and allowed me to deactivate his disruptor.
I missed something. My prototype weapon, that was in the science labs, but it appeared in my hand in medbay.
Okay, so now this is suggesting that things are being subtly pushed. So things are being changed to benefit the situation to allow it to come to this point, rather than it being diverging from this point.
Also, those behaviours I don't think are necessarily different, Doctor. Those were the actions on which I was sort of basing the theory of how this was happening to us.
Sorry, what you talking? So, what you referring to? I think I lost
The
it.
objects moving and people not being where they should be is consistent with a specific kind of behavior of us as observers.
Right.
The way I think that happens is that our consciousnesses as observers are acting in the way that tetryon particles act outside of subspace.
There is a flurry of enthusiastic feelings coming from Chew at this point into Nova. How can I best describe it? How many people have seen the Shazam movie?
Yes.
How many have not?
I haven't.
Nope.
Okay. I need a better example then. Maybe I won't use a better example. It's the best one I can think of. Right. Without going too far into it.
We could just go in through the basic Heisenberg principle and go from there.
Basic. Okay, yeah.
For children version, it's fine.
Wait, do you want me to get my Quantum Mechanics for Babies book out? And
Yeah, go for it.
I'd like to see where it's gone.
By all
You're
means.
being serious.
Are you saying that we're in some kind of potential space and we can affect the probability of something happening by wanting it to happen?
I don't know whether the wanting it to happen is the accurate part, but yes, we are definitely in a potential space.
Rather than want, would it be need? It needs to happen.
And setting up that need is the mechanic I don't fully understand yet. But when something needs to be in a subspace area such as this, it will happen.
So, to quote one of my previous hosts in a play as a younger child, clicking our feet together and going, "There's no place like home."
I honestly thought you were going to say life finds a way in your previous because it was a Goldblum. I was fully expecting that.
No, because we've actually established that both the previous hosts were female.
Well, you've got 8 lifetimes of adventure, so you've got more than just 3 lifetimes of adventure.
Don't I'm regretting saying this. I don't want him to be Jeff Goldblum.
I haven't pulled that card yet this episode.
No, you haven't. So there you go. Do do do. No, I better not hum the Jurassic Park theme in case I get us
Monetized.
It's
copyright
fine.
strike.
Just criticize yourself for it, and then you go, and then it's you go into copyright because it's
It wasn't a very good impression. Sorry.
Yeah, it's the criticality of it. So yes, it was out of key. It should have been in F minor, and it was in G. There we go. Yeah.
I have no idea if he was even close to being right or wrong. That's my music
Precisely,
theory.
yes.
Yes, moving swiftly on. So, Vibers might have Jeff Goldblum as one of his previous hosts. Right, gotcha.
Another delusion.
Just say lots of times and we're there. Sorry, Jeff, you are a magnificent actor. I don't mean to belittle your talent in any way, shape, or form.
Has he gotten to you? Blink 3 times if he's holding you hostage.
You see, because you're going on about life finds a way, is that I've now just got flipping War of the Worlds in my head now. Life begins again.
What's my actual quote?
I think we're rapidly losing our grip on
Reality.
on what's going, what our point should be here. So let's rewind a bit.
Because if you think in character is that we're now looking outside the box, we're now trying to break down the universal barrier to understand the concepts of reality. There
Are you
we
saying
go.
we're trying to get to the spheres outside the spheres we know?
While you're doing that, I think I should go back to engineering and get us some working power.
How much of that did people follow?
Quite a bit.
Okay.
It's gonna go boom.
Keval's wondering when last did he eat? Is he really hungry?
That sounds like a really good plan.
Is there a sandwich in my hand?
If you will it into being, does the sandwich occur? And if so, which sandwich? All very interesting. Okay.
I am thinking there are, from at least some of the hallucinations are described, there are rather disturbing, sort of like
I really wish you wouldn't use that term.
Fine, fine. I am thinking from the tech ear that we've been seeing, there are some. If you squint a bit, you can see some potential reflections of the current situation that we're currently going through. An altercation between Klingons and Orions, investigating an anomaly, phasers being fired.
Oh yeah, we did actually use the phasers this time as well.
You did.
This is why we're in this mess. We used the experimental phasers.
Speak for yourself. I had a wrestling match.
Well, the ship, the big thing, that we're standing on.
Yeah.
That used its experimental phasers rather than using the quantums. Right, it's fine. Everyone blame Claw.
I wouldn't dare.
That's why Claude's not here. Is he gone? Is it safe? Right, I disagree with what Claude had to say.
No one disagrees with Claude.
I'm sorry, Claude.
Could we be alternate versions of ourselves? But we're still sort of quantum entangled, and if we manage to collapse the entanglement into a single wave, then everything will be okay.
What you're saying is we won't know what's in the box until we let the cat out.
Yeah.
Interesting flurry of metaphors there.
Well, it was all a reference to one man's cat and some very questionable thought
Ethics.
experiments.
Can people hear me? I can't. I don't.
Yeah,
Hello?
okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
just
cool.
about.
I'm going to come through my phone now. So, yes, the thing, the point about the way Tetrions work as opposed to everything else is, and the reason that I was so surprised that they were involved up until we eventually found a subspace anomaly, is that outside of subspace, they basically don't behave, as far as Heisenberg's principle, like anything else. They're sort of the opposite of it, and they are impossible to keep track of. They just don't know where they are in time ever, no matter how closely you observe them or don't. Therefore, we were acting as if we were infused with Tetrions before we were infused with Tetrions during those flashes.
Interesting.
It's the fact that we are now infused with them might be how we impose our will on previous events.
Sorry, did I miss something? Are we infused with Tetrions?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, graviton. We initially scanned for gravitons, but
Tetrions were confirmed. Natala did actually scan for them.
Right, that's okay. Sorry, I was stuck in sick bay a lot.
It's fine. So,
in other words, what that comes to the conclusion of is that Tetrion emission in normal space is not random. It is actually specific to the event and when it left the subspace area that it came from.
Doctor, we
yes?
might be able to confirm that theory. Have you got your tricorder on you? And
I pull out the tricorder because I always have my kit on me.
scan me. Are all the particles focus been absorbed into the symbiont, not into the host?
Okay. I've got a medical tricorder, Matt. Can I use that to get that specific information?
Absolutely. So what was the question, Navis?
Well, since Viber's got a thing, but Kano didn't, we can actually prove it if the particles seem to have been picked up by the symbiote and quirk of biology got sucked into that rather than into the host. That would prove it's all in one place, which would correspond with and explain why one got something and not the other.
Again, Chew makes a sucking air over his teeth kind of sense. But,
biology's weird.
Scanning Vibers finds that there are equal amounts of tetrions on the host body as there are the symbiont.
Yeah, don't think your theory adds up.
I don't follow what you were trying to prove there.
Not sure I do either.
Have you met Navis?
I ain't doctor.
Given no matter how separate your humanoid self and your symbiont self might be, they are biologically linked. It's quite possible, if I am understanding what we're talking about, and I admit it's not exactly my field, so maybe we're not. The fact that might be wrong, or it might be the fact that you're basically both infected equally that allowed you to perceive and interact with the memories of your host, or of your symbiont rather, or that it was just being processed, even though it was the symbiont's memories, because your memory center was being stimulated by the effect, you still actually had that memory in your host brain, even though it was your symbiont's memory. The sheer closeness of the link between host and symbiote for the trill would make that possible.
So, what were we wanting to try? What were we wanting to figure out?
We have a key example of two instances where a small thing was moved to be where it needed to be. We have the piece of moss going to the doctor's hand, and we have the sound gun going to Mr. Edwards. If we can achieve those two objects getting where they need to be when they need to be.
There are 2 other instances of that happening as well, or at least 2. Previous to the Orion started to make themselves known, a plant in sick bay moved from the shelf where I had it to a desk, and then on the planet, when I was going around trying to actually find the members of the crew, the pad with the crew list basically moved from underneath my arm where I had it to a nearby table, and the information on it had reverted to a few moments before my last.
I don't know that the pad on the table is a good example, because I think that might just be a good example of you being displaced in time in a natural way, like the tetrions are displaced in time.
I'm just saying the.
But the plants and such, that's a better example.
Right, so I'm not sure I understand. What's the difference between the other things and the pad, other than it was on the planet rather than the ship?
The behavior you observed on the planet is more consistent with. It's more similar to the deja vu effect of putting something down, forgetting why you entered a room. It's you did the thing, and then your awareness caught up with you doing the thing.
Right. The thing was, I hadn't actually placed it on the table. It
A
disappeared
previous
from my
you had, and then ceased to exist.
So what you're saying is that was not just a previous, but also a parallel version.
Yes, or a potential version, more accurately.
Right. Can I just check what makes you think that compared to the other three?
That and the experience that Mr. Edwards described, those earlier observances and most of our earlier observances before we started getting things like jumps forward and memories with discrepancies and that sort of thing. They all followed a very specific sort of pattern that immediately to me jumped at this idea of temporal displacement along the lines of not accurately following the Heisenberg principle.
Right. Can I ask you a question, Natala?
Sure.
When you mentioned your experience, all you said was you remember seeing a data pad, but you don't remember what was on it. Do you remember anything else about your experience?
Oh yeah, I can go through the full thing. It was a moment between myself and one of my children on leaving Narendra Station. We had not very much time left to pack up and leave, and they were very concerned with the tribulations of moving and having to relocate. We spoke for a few moments of how to make things easier, and things that might be missed, and hopes for the future. And then was interrupted by, I believe, an ensign handing over I think it might have been an inventory pad.
Okay.
Okay, so adding that into the mix is that we've got something to do with moving.
And also concern about things that might be missed, represented by a pad with a list of inventory, which reminds me of the experience I had with the pad on the planet, which was also a list of things I was using to make sure I didn't miss anyone. Maybe I'm looking too much into the minutiae. I'm just seeing a lot of connections here.
I did just remember something. That was actually the second. The first time is when I was doing my rounds as this on a security patrol. I kept going through one way and coming out the other, but it kept. No, that was it. I kept seeing something on the edge of my vision, and I kept following it around. Then again, that might be a friend here, to be honest. Now I think back on it, but as with throwing everything on the table, I thought I'd better say this in case there's any relevance.
Which that sounds similar to what Nova said she experienced. Is that right, Nova?
Kind of, yeah. I think I was fully involved in a hallucination and then saw through it rather than things appearing around.
Yeah.
I'm just really annoyed that you lot saw your past.
Frankly, I didn't. All I've seen are like moving objects. I haven't actually seen a vision of my past or future.
Perhaps the aim wasn't to be showing the past, but more something that you would be interested in.
Possibly.
It's something to make you latch on rather than just offhand ignore it. Seems to be more what's
the moss fin seems to have directly helped against Vess. The plant fin moving, maybe that got my mind on actually having some of the plants on that I could later use against him, and maybe the data pad just. The only thing I can think of is to try and actually make me think about the Natala's data pad and get the connection there.
Again, at the minute though, we are now just throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks. We could be cutting one and one together and getting 5.
It's possible.
So if we could possibly go back to the idea of the things that we know are obviously directed. things that are beyond chance.
This is all so very confusing. You're doing very well, all of you. My colleagues and I were right to observe you. If I may, I regret any consternation myself and my fellows may have caused. Since we are, as you have rightly determined, not like you at all, we comprehend time in an entirely different fashion than yourselves. And, as we have stated previously, we are explorers, just like you. And it seems, from what we have determined from your times, you also have a directive to not influence those whom you observe. We have a similar directive. It is what has kept us from overtly aiding you. However, as explorers, we very genuinely wish to make contact with other sentient life forms that are advanced enough that they can communicate with us without difficulty. You yourselves, you are on the cusp of something extraordinary. You are not there yet, but if you can accomplish this one crucial step, you will have made a very important first step on an evolution that may, one day, see us able to communicate on an equal footing. Now, my colleagues and I have conferred whilst you have been conferring amongst yourselves. We have at least agreed that we can tell you that the anomaly is not our doing. In fact, the anomaly is something we have been working to control, or at least divert, for a long time. We ourselves have no idea how the anomaly came into existence, but it seems to have a means of switching itself between the various planes of what you call subspace. That is a somewhat gross oversimplification of things, but it is your current understanding model, therefore we shall use that. The anomaly, as you have seen, can be very destructive, and so we have done our best to redirect it away from any sentient peoples. But when it arrived in your realm, we saw potentially very interesting sentient minds that were on the verge of very dramatic leaps in mental evolution. And so, we chose to observe. The power to undo the anomaly and travel to a point, an event that you call the past, is definitely within your reach. We would be very enthused to see you accomplish this.
Wasn't there something similar reported from the Enterprise with the dealings of Q, where there was a temporal anomaly that was occurring in 3 points in history?
All good things happen again.
Very clever.
You have it within your power now to achieve what it is you visualize. Now what you need is a method of actualizing it. Your methods of science and cognition are almost there, but you are ready. From the way that you have been talking, you can comprehend what you need to do. Now what you need to find is how to do it.
Rather than an explosion, what about an implosion?
I was thinking more along the lines of potential energy, but that's an interesting concept.
Well, either way.
I'm looking at this wrong.
Go on.
Nova, how would you get everybody to think the same thing?
Currently I'd use fish and something I shouldn't.
That's actually not a bad explanation. You hold a fish in front of everybody, and what they see is a fish, and what they think at that point in time is fish, and therefore that's how you get everyone to think the same thing at the same time.
We also have some of that green fish.
We do also have some of that fish.
You do have some of that odd psychoactive protein, yes.
I think that's what he meant straight off. She meant off the bat. Yeah, that would work.
Because we're thinking about this from a technological standpoint. But we just said thoughts can make things happen here.
Well, no, we don't. We haven't confirmed that thoughts can make things happen here. We know that things can make things happen here.
But thought to action is a process. So
there is also another way of, rather than medicinal, there's technological, but that's very dodgy, and we really shouldn't do that because that's promoting let's create a Borg hive mind on Navis.
Steady.
What if it didn't have to be? What if we didn't have to involve the mind at all? What if we just had to make it like the path of least resistance?
Deck 3 is fine. Deck 3 is fine.
Just put it in your head. Deck 3 is fine. Deck 3 is fine.
Because Bertram's not been on the bridge, that he knows nothing about the Deck 3 damage, he is now going to say, well, now all I can think about is Deck 3. Is it fine?
Yes, Deck 3 is fine.
All you need to know
now's a really good time to tell me the shields are back.
Yeah, all you need to know, Doctor, is that Deck 3 is fine.
That's good to know.
Okay. What you seem to have set up for yourselves here is that you've got a number of things to do. A number of potential modifications to make, either to ship systems and or to people's ability to achieve a certain level and type of cognition. So this next bit is basically going to be one big extended task. Everybody contributes in some fashion. Chew at least seems intent on putting that idea into Nova's brain and to share with yourselves that if you can all contribute to it, then thought and whatever begets action, begets a potential for result. So, however you choose to go at this, I am giving you guys basically free rein to approach this from however you want. Everybody gets a go at contributing something to the overall effort. But essentially, yes, it looks like you now are settled on, from what I gather, using some method or other, including the tetrions that you've got swirling around and the fact that you're in a space outside or a place outside of regular time as extras. You've got all these various things. You've got lots of very smart people with breaking down the situation, so it now comes down to actual action in order to get this all to occur. So, I suppose my first question is, who is doing what to start things off? What's the first job you think you need to do? Sorry.
Yeah, I think we need to agree on what we want to do. I like the idea of potential. I like the sort of like, using like the slingshot things. That's kind of my thought, is that we generate enough potential energy.
Yeah, okay. Everybody else on board with that?
But again, I'm fully open for other things as well. I think the focusing on specific targets is a really good kind of route we could go down as well.
So, who wants to suggest?
And I like the idea of focusing on doing small things first. So before move the ship, we try and move the moss and the gun.
Neat. So, yeah, this is open to however you want to do it. This is like I said, it's an extended task. It's got a work track of around 20. It has got a certain amount of resistance to it because this is something that's never been attempted before as far as you know it, and therefore is quite difficult. So, the more breakthroughs you can get on this, the further forward your leaps in logic and whatnot will go, and your ability to achieve what you want to achieve will occur the more successes you accrue. So, who wants to suggest the first action? Yeah, this seems to be maybe getting the ship ready to run circles around the anomaly to generate the...
Yeah, should we do science thing, force of will thing, science thing, force of will thing, and sort of alternate it back and forth, or...
Up to you guys, if you think that's a good idea. Sounds good to me. What do you think?
I'm down with that.
Cool. So
basically, it's going to be brainstorming for the theory then.
Jan, what do you say?
I think Natala's idea is good because it will sort of create a feedback loop.
Yeah. Agreed. So the science thing comes first, and then the will thing. So well, I suppose we start with Natala then, being science.
Yeah, so start off with building up as much tetrion energy as we can by, I guess, sort of collecting it from various eddies in the area and sort of sweeping up, saturating ourselves even more with...
Is there a way to magnetize the hull to that kind of tetrion particles to be able to actually just collect them easier, so they come to us?
Well, that sounds like what's being aimed to do here, so this could be either control and engineering to start gathering those kind of things up, to make modifications to the ship to do it, so...
I think some sort of electrical pulse, or is there a known way of doing this, or are we pretty much thinking outside the box on this?
There kind of is a known way of doing this, which is basically how we ever get tetrions regularly, because normally they aren't as abundant as here, and so we have to go to great lengths to drag them out of those space pockets and things normally.
I'm being very specific because if we are thinking beyond conventional thinking, I was wondering, would that work?
Oh,
this is an extended task.
This is a good one, because what we're talking about, we can use the structural integrity fields to try and... We're effectively impersonating the old style polarized hull plating.
I mean, that's what I was thinking. Some sort of charge to do it to that level to pull it in, because...
So tetrions don't actually have a charge.
but you want to
No,
create
but
some
it's a
kind
good
of
way to
sympathy.
explain it.
Yes, but you could create something that causes them to attract. But yeah, ultimately.
So,
So
would
you've
that
already got a certain level of tetrion saturation that's happened on both ship and people within it. So there's some method of it gravitating towards you already. So now it just becomes a method of either increasing it or harnessing it or whatever.
would that
Do you
talent
want
work
to
with
do
it?
structural integrity control, or do you want to go to main shield control?
Well, at the moment we're on Natala. Natala's doing her thing to start things off.
Okay.
Yeah.
If
You wanted me to
then-
roll control engineering, and who's ready with their sheer force of will idea to follow me?
Nobody? All right, maybe we'll go on to something more technical.
Well,
then.
yeah. The question is who's strong-willed?
One success. This was difficulty 3, so
So do we need someone to assist, or is
maybe
it
you might need somebody to assist. Well, actually, the ship would probably be needed to assist her in this as well, because you're using the ship systems, so...
Basically, both those two to work together. Though I don't think it would be Edwards on this one. Would that be more one of the other science crew? So he'd be more for engineering.
Well, as far as the theory, it was mainly an idea that Edwards, Natala, and Andrews had been just chatting through.
All right.
So do you want all 3 to do this first task then?
Makes sense.
The lead, Edwards, and Andrews assist.
Okay.
Yeah.
You never know.
So that's 2 successes. Need 1 more, and you got it. Nice. Now I need Natala to roll me 66, please, to see how much. Now, this has got resistance 3, so 3 will go away from whatever you roll, unless, of course, you get some effects.
Events, yeah.
You got an effect. Okay, cool. When you've got an extended task like this, we can actually use effects to do stuff, and we can use momentum if we need to. So the kind of thing you can use effects for are to is to ignore a point of resistance per effect rolled. You only rolled 1, so it would ignore a point of resistance, or it would generate an additional point of work. So
surely they're cancelling each other out whichever way around we go on that.
Yeah, so you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got 5 points altogether, and one of those was an effect.
Which would mean it'd be 6 from Nick of Time.
And 6 from Nick of Time. So if you want to use it to take away point of resistance, you only lose 2 on that, so, which is essentially the same thing that you did. So
Does
you actually do...
resistance stay removed for future attempts?
Nope. Those are only for the individual effects that you roll. When
And it sounds like those two basically do the same for our result, don't they?
Yeah, it does, now that I think about it. But, for future reference, you can spend a point of momentum to add another point of work done, or you can ignore up to 2 resistance using a point of momentum, or you can spend a point of momentum to re-roll any number of the challenge dice that you just rolled. Of that lot, there were 2 blanks that you rolled, so if you wanted to, you could spend a momentum to re-roll those 2 blanks and get more out of it, or just go on to the next bit.
I think we just keep going on to the next bit.
Cool. Alright then. So that was the let's start tweaking the ship to start gathering these tetrions, which seems to be going reasonably well so far. So, what's next?
Well, we said it was going to be a will task, wasn't it? So
Yes,
something small. What happened first in the series of events? Bertram, were you the first one to actually experience something?
I experienced the pad moving on the planet.
Maybe the
Well,
word first, or such a notation of time, needs to start getting reevaluated.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah.
We're thinking in thinking in two-dimensional plane again. Okay.
Yeah.
So, which was the most insignificant event then that occurred? The moving of the stun gun was a critical event. The moving of the moss was a critical event. The
moving of the house plant.
Yeah,
I was going to say that's the least critical that I've experienced.
Yeah. Wasn't there also the disruptor being discharged?
No, that was the disruptor thing was a sample of my energy draining moss that I'd previously sort of lost in the bin, jumped to my hand so I could use it. It didn't just disrupt itself.
Okay, so the plant movement.
If you're wanting least disruptive, I'd say perhaps me linking up with Chew.
What I was actually thinking, sort of Nova, because I was thinking, because I know that, Bertram turned to Nova, obviously as an empath, sorry if I mispronounced that, in general, and I know that you've, on more than one occasion, used your abilities to bolster, reach out, communicate, or focus in other ways. Am I right in thinking that the project you did to make Unit Hello kind of involved sort of like a mixture of empathic and technological, or am I wrong about that?
I think it's the Tilly-Cow technology in general has some kind of empathic link that I have linked to previously.
What I was thinking is possibly potentially work with you to see if we can actually get rig up some sort of solution that uses both our technical expertise and the abilities of the minds that you're skilled in to try and actually increase our ability to focus on what we want to happen, more importantly the results we do and the results we don't want to occur, if what I'm saying makes sense.
Yeah.
So you now want to jump into something to make the using will to express what you want to happen easier to accomplish, essentially.
Essentially, yeah.
So it sounds like the next task is going to be done by Bertram and Nova then.
Yep. You right with that, Nova?
Yep.
So this is going to be very much a lot of this is going to be using the control attribute, because you are trying to control your thinking as well as your actions here, so this is going to be using control a lot. However, this seems to be going to be a combination of control and medicine for Bertram and control and probably engineering for Nova. So both of you have obviously got the maximum of 5 in your respective disciplines, so it's entirely up to you guys which one of you think is going to be supporting the other.
I was considering using my balance of science and nature value, because it does kind of like seem to be a thing we're trying to bring both aspects together to create a singular effect.
Okay, so that sounds almost like you're asking for Nova's support.
Yep, is that alright, Nova?
Yep, fine.
Yep.
Alrighty.
Okay.
So, yeah. 1 dice from Nova, 2 dice from Bertram. Now, bearing in mind, difficulty 3 with resistance 3, you can use momentum, of course.
Yep.
So, give it them rules!
Oh, just to let you know, Matt, as it's a control thing, I can also throw this at it.
Haha, so you may ignore up to 2 resistance. Nice! Very nice, very nice, very nice. And Cochrane Medal of Excellence. When you spend a point of determination on a task, you see benefits 2. Right.
I don't have any to spend.
Okay. You just wanted to feel special.
I thought it was momentum.
I thought it was momentum. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
It was determination now. Okay.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Okay. So I've got.
Remember, you're trying to get difficulty. Difficulty 3. Ooh.
If you want, I can burn my commanding officer perk to then see if you can get a determination spend.
Up to you, if you think that'll help.
Do you have a limited amount of things to do it, or can you do it each time?
It's unlimited. And then I can use my veteran perk to try and re-roll it. So.
Okay, if it's unlimited, then there's no reason not to. So
it's just in case I've only got one determined less. So if I burn my last one, I can't spend any more determination.
I was on maximum before this, so if it's a risk of leaving you without it, you might want to save it until we're low on determination.
Okay. Carry on.
The captain can burn one of her determinations.
Yeah, the captain is available for you to use as well.
Yep.
5 successes!
Jesus!
My God! All right then. So that was 3,
just
2 over and above what you needed.
He's just thinking to himself, "Move the plant, move the plant,
Move the
move the plant."
So ordinarily I'd ask for 7, but you got 2 over what you needed, and you've got a full momentum pool. So roll 9.
Is this 9d6?
9d6, please.
Okay.
9 challenge dice. I can't see that very well. So that is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 with 1, 2, 3 effects. 9 minus 1 is 8. So,
there's 2
yeah.
resistance ignored for every effect.
2 resistance ignored for every effect. Well, you may as well use one of those effects to ignore all resistance, so then you're left with... what did I say it was? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you've got 9 on the work in total. If you use one of the effects to ignore the rest of the difficulty...
Yep.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That was huge! Which is definitely a breakthrough.
Woohoo!
Breakthrough that you needed. And you've got 2 more points of... 2 more effects that you can roll with. So you can either use them to generate some more work each, probably. I think at this rate.
I'm good with that. Keep on our progress.
Or, because you achieved a breakthrough, and 1 or more effects were rolled, an additional breakthrough can be achieved. You need 5 breakthroughs in total, so...
So we'd essentially get 2 for the price of 1.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the way to go in that case.
Alright then.
Get almost halfway there. You good with that, Nova?
Sounds like a plan.
So that was a good and very, very, the word when you produce things. Productive.
Yay.
Very productive.
All we hear is a loud explosion from Medbay as a plant pot just flies across the room.
No. What happens is you see a huge explosion from Medbay, and then Bertram and Nova shout, "That didn't happen!" And then the explosion reverses.
So, because you've managed to make breakthroughs, you've lowered the difficulty. Nice. So, that was significant. That was highly significant. And if I understand it, this is now using... this was the intention of being able to use Nova's empathic abilities through some kind of technological and medical void, which you were to get everybody to focus better and comprehend together.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So it's working. Everybody's minds are now starting to sync, which is weird, because it's not like this whole thing where you're all thinking the same thing at the same time. You're just all finding that you're able to focus on the same thing, and it's almost like an electrical tingle goes through you all as you feel that focusing on the same thing. Everyone pictures buttered toast. And buttered toast appears. We are Nova and we are one. So it's not something hive mind-ish, but you are able to find that when you all focus on a singular task, this thing seems to, occupy your thoughts, and you can think of the best way of getting at it. So, after that magnificent display, who's next? We do, I hasten to note, need for somebody who's a extraordinarily good pilot to actually pilot the ship to achieve that slingshot maneuver around the singularity at some point. So, should we get that done and out of the way now? This is probably going to...
Yeah, I'm happy to do that one, because that's more the science-based one, is that that's... So, there's kind of like this... The going back a step is that we're doing effectively two routes of attack. We're doing the now, and we're doing the past. Well, the events that led to this situation.
I would also strongly recommend that when Caval does the slingshot, we also get Hello to assist with calculations on that.
Okay, so the ship is going to need to assist as well, because it's going to be doing engines and science. So, who hasn't rolled in a bit? Alex, do you fancy being the ship?
Certainly.
And Shaun, since Hello is going to be assisting, this is going to be probably control and science from Hello, and definitely control and con as the primary for Caval.
What do I need from the ship, sorry?
So from the ship, let's have, I think, engines and science.
I was thinking definitely science.
Yeah, we'll go with engines and science. An argument could be made for con, but they're more or less the same rating anyways, so either way. We are looking to do science with this, so... Okay, the ship is just being the ship. She's very bless her, so it's no surprise there. Shaun, do you want to give Hello's attempt?
Do better, ship.
Quantum computing is a focus.
Yeah, that sounds good. Definitely sounds worthwhile. Do we want to quickly spend a determination to get rid of that, or are we hanging on to that?
Kind of makes sense in that I told him to turn off his chronometer earlier. He's been erroring since.
Yeah, but this is kind of a critical thing, so
I'm quite happy to burn mine to stop the communication. Oh, get the captain to burn one, because she's got 3 left.
Yep, the captain can burn one. Captain will burn a point of determination to re-roll that 20.
She just looks at Hello and goes, perhaps you want to recalculate your chronometric calculations, Hello, and switches him back on.
And that actually yields a great deal more success as a result. Nice. So now this is entirely down to Commander Thazanan's piloting skills, which we know are legendary anyway, so let's see how much better he does.
I'd like to point out, it's legend. Wait for it. Dairy.
I'll use a value, a point of determination. Dynamic situations need to be mastered.
Yes, I like it. Definitely allow that one. Alrighty, we got 5 successes. 5 over and above what was needed, which means good griefy gravy. This is going to be 12 challenge dice, if you please.
I was believing that he can go faster.
Caval's actually realising this is such a serious thing, he's actually not going to blindfold himself while making the difference this time. Because normally he does that to make it fair on the universe.
He is, however, flying one-handed as the other hand seems to have been buttered toast and he's been casually munching.
You sort of plan on doing the Ace Ventura spin round and stop, and like a glove.
All Vibers hears is the structural integrity field just groan, and all the ships just like hull stress exceeding maximum tolerance.
Inertia dampeners at maximum. It's like you see people start to slowly fly to the wall.
Everyone's just sucked to one side of the ship.
Andrews, we may have lost the battle module. Have you seen it?
If we've lost the battle module,
swerves halfway through the fin just to pick up a few more Tetra.
Deck 3 has collapsed due to the damage you already received.
Is that the primary torpedo launcher falling off my ship?
If the primary torpedo launcher falls off, it's that Caval's face is going into his control panel repeatedly saying "bad."
Can I please get Jan to roll me 12 d6s, please? 12 challenge dice. Wowza! That's quite a lot of effects.
What that torpedo punch?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Minus 3 is 7.
Can we make a breakthrough so it's reduced on the...
Well, it's definitely a breakthrough. Yep. And you made a breakthrough there, and you actually got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 effects. Which means you could spend one of those effects to get an additional breakthrough. And you can definitely use the remaining 4 effects to give yourselves additional work.
I'm happy to go down that route.
That's amazing! Now you barefoot on the bridge. He needs to feel the deck plates rumble under his feet. So he can instinctively feel the speed he's going at. Yeah, that was some world, if not universal class piloting once again from Caval Thazanan as he expertly starts generating the amount of velocity needed to slingshot you guys through time as well as space, it seems. Now we need the last couple of the final piece of the puzzle.
Claude begins to clap. He's like, "Ha! Caval is reaching my level."
So I suppose this last thing... Sorry, Jan, I talked over you there.
It's a slow clap.
You've stepped onto the first rung of the ladder, young one. Claude is proud.
So I suppose the last thing that needs to happen is for the force of will now to be exerted to push the ship and the crew to the event, the point of event that you want it to arrive at. How you are going to achieve this? Well, if this is all about will, then it's going to be control and command.
I think I might actually beat the captain on that one. 10-5 versus 10-5. Oh, it's both the captain and I are equal. Control and command.
So, we've got one to be the primary, and we got room for 3 assistants. So,
I would quite like to assist.
Okay, so we've got Natala and Edwards assisting, so we need one more.
When it comes to command, I have a very low command because, after all, I'm a doctor, not a mentalist.
Well then,
been waiting weeks to use that.
In that case, you get to use medicine instead of.
Yeah, which boosted up from 12 to 16.
So yeah, that's all 5 dice. So if I can have 2 from, I don't know, 2 from Andrews, 1 from Ducasse, 1 from Natala, 1 from Edwards, 1 from Bertram.
See, I was going to spend one of my momentum.
I would like
6 actually. Yeah, how did I miscount that?
I would like to use my value, seeing is believing.
4. So it's going to be
considering what we're doing.
It's going to be Andrews and Natala and Edwards and Bertram.
Oh, lost connection to the server. But yeah, so will I be able to use my value for this?
Oh, absolutely.
Alright, it's alright, it's fine. I will assist. I will stand to the side and I will burn commanding officer to burn my last determination. So give it to the captain.
You only got 1 left. I haven't used any yet.
Well, okay, fine. Alright. I give it to the captain to use her determination point. And it would automatically be as if they've rolled you roll a 1-point determination, so I can just assist anyone on that.
Jeez, hang on.
People have already done that for themselves.
Yeah.
So Edwards is taking the lead, is he?
No, that was 1. That was.
Yeah, you don't roll. You've got the 1.
Yeah.
Ignore that then.
You can't make
sorry.
the dice 1 dice.
Yeah.
is the issue. So ignore his 6, ignore my 19.
Righty ho. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from 1, 2, 3 folks.
That's one last determination.
So we need one last person to be the lead in this. So it was going to be.
Wait a minute. How do I use the other two?
May as well be Andrew, since even if you spend a determination, you can't because there's not enough dice left.
So, okay, yep. Control command, what are you saying?
2 dice, and that's it. No determination, no nothing.
No foci?
Focus.
Nothing works on that apart from survival training or Starfleet protocol, which kind of like the slingshot maneuver was known about.
I'm fine with you justifying it that way, yes. Someone has to think of what happens when you get out of here.
Yeah,
now's the time you burn that determination.
I will burn my determination.
Natala was involved at this level. You were aided by Natala on this roll. You can ignore the first complication for free.
Cool. And Bertram was already there with his Legion of Honor going, I can help too!
Everyone's just throwing awards at each other. Everyone just wants to get involved.
Nice. Okay, so that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 5 over what was needed. Primary on that was going to be Andrews or the captain. Both got the same scores. Doesn't matter ultimately because it's going to be 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 d6. Once again. Resistance of 3, but difficulty of 2. Oh my lordy lords! Wow! 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Minus
Half of
3
those
is
dice are
8.
6s.
I'm just going to say do that just for another pin to pop up.
You achieve.
Oh, that's a point. I forgot it as well. You've reminded me, Nick of Time as well. So any effects count as extra.
Blimey.
So ignore the first 2 resistances and then apply 12 effects.
Yeah, pretty much. So basically, you all find the focus. You all find the focus needed, and you focus on the end result. There is a massive build-up of like static in your bodies, and everything becomes sharper, as if you weren't truly seeing things properly until now. And then, with a flash, we find ourselves at the edge of space, sitting in front of a somewhat badly damaged Klingon ship, which is putting up a good old fight against a rather large Orion cruiser. But it seems the Navis has just arrived. Fully powered.
Question being, is there a Klingon crew still on our bridge?
I will go at this point to say no. They are now gone.
Klingons, Orions, or both?
What's the condition of the ship as well?
The ship is just like it was when you arrived at the Hefner Bay system. Your shields are at full capacity. Your power grid is all good.
And deck 3 is fine.
Deck 3
was
is
always
fine.
There was never anything wrong with Deck 3. We have proven this.
So there you go.
Okay, well, I suggest we go into red alert, and the first thing to do is to intercept and get in between the Orion vessel and the Klingon.
All right. Red alert klaxons go off as the ship, obviously already had its shields up, but starts proceeding ramming speed towards the gap. There's an exchange of fire going on between the Klingons and the Orions. The Klingons, however, seem to be adapting their strategy. Almost like they know what's going to happen next. But, yes. Once permission when attempting a persuade check in effort to prevent violence, the character may reduce difficulty persuasion task by 1, to a minimum of 1. Very well. Nova is getting on the comms, which can be assisted by anybody, of course. So in that case, I'll take us back to the bridge.
Oh, we want to blow stuff up!
No, we don't. That's what caused this problem in the first place.
No, this is right.
It's like there's opposite of what we're
We're blowing it up!
I want to blow something
I
up!
want to shoot things!
You can blow it up when we get home.
Come on, Mr. Claw, fire!
Fire a warning shot across their bow. Well, you know, it could always be the first shot could be a warning shot.
That could be it, yeah. Mr. Claw, fire full spread quantum torpedoes, but warning shot only.
Blort becomes very much a case of,
Warning, what now, Commander?
A warning
He
quantum
means
torpedo.
A warning barrage of quantums. Just hit the shields, don't hit the ship. Whatever you do not target the ship, just their shields.
Alright then, in that case, I am going to ask for somebody to be Claude. Who wants to be
No.
Claude?
I'm happy to go down the Nova route first.
Okay,
We shall engage in peaceful negotiations, and if they refuse to listen to peace and reason...
He says my ideas are sometimes a bit bloodthirsty.
So then, this is going to be just issuing a... this is going to be a... Go on, sorry.
Open communication that this is neutral space. We shouldn't be fighting here when there's a perfectly good hub just on the planet.
I think we also call him by his first name as well.
I'm going to call everybody by their first name because that's what Nova does.
Yeah. So, can I get a presence and command check for whoever's doing this? Nova can either lead or can assist, since she's using her award.
Get the captain to assist, because she's the diplomatic one of the group.
Okay, who hasn't rolled in a good bit? Do we want to let Davis near the dice?
No, go on.
Go on then, Davis. You be Captain Ducasse, presence and command, 1 dice, but this is going to be probably composure as a focus. And I'll make this just difficulty 1. Because you have 4 knowledge on your side. And you've already reduced it down to 1 anyway, thanks to Nova's award. 1 success from Nova, so it's all down to Captain Ducasse.
Yep, just give me a second, it's kicking.
Hang on, wait. I got this. There you go, Captain!
You just want to spend your last point of determination to see if it comes back, don't you?
After all those effects, who can blame?
Well, quite.
Remember, Vess's first name is Ulda.
So that's a nothing,
Ulda,
you don't
the
get
old
it
chap.
back.
That was present and command 1 dice.
Yes, please?
But you have already got a 1, though.
Yeah, so you've already
No matter what you roll.
succeeded. 2
Oh,
successes. 2 successes on top of that means we've got a nice round 5. So, needless to say, the Orion ship looks to have taken at least a provisional amount of damage. So you've come into this fight during the early stages, and you've now pulled around and are urging peace. The Orion ship, you get a register that rather than respond to you, they actually do an active sensor scan. And Natala can tell you that the active sensor scan was mostly focused on your weapons. Old army, old chum, hope you stop shooting. The Orions power down their weapons and start turning about and start to go on a heading that's going to leave the Hefner Bay system. Congratulations. You have altered history. Or have you? There's no anomaly visible at the edge of the Hefner system, which is where you're at currently. There's no suggestion it was ever there. And the chronometer indicates the date, the exact star date you were at when you entered this whole debacle.
Doctor, I'm sure you're recommending something about shore leave, because I could really do with some about now.
As it happens, yes, this is the time you entered the Hefner Bay system, so you've still got shore leave ahead of you. Best holiday ever.
Who wants to go to Hefner Bay? I heard we're going to have a very good shore leave there.
I think it's worthwhile as opening communications with the Klingon vessel and seeing if they have any recollection of what happened.
Interestingly enough, Captain Cannock kind of takes a bit of a more aggressive stance with you. It suggests that he doesn't remember what happened. But
later at the pub.
But yeah, he does, since his ship was just attacked and you're in neutral space, he does actually take you up on your offer for a truce to be called and for some celebrations to be had. From one set of warriors to another. Nice.
Perhaps a light sparring competition.
Perhaps. So
he totally remembers. It just doesn't matter.
Well, he only had 5 officers left.
Are we?
See him, so
are we actually? Yeah. Are we going to actually also state that the anomaly was his discovery?
The anomaly's not there. Is there anything to name after him then?
Well, I think we need to still report what the anomaly was.
That's the point. Do we still have the data around it? Or is that
probably not. I'd probably say it's only memory.
Do I still have the disruptor?
No, you don't. Because the Orion boarding action didn't happen.
We may still have some data in that we had Hello in the room with us.
There's that.
So we could get some usable data.
And possibly a little bit from your own implant as well, maybe.
The ship, not so much, because you reverted the ship to the state it was in.
Yeah.
But,
do I
as you
still
say,
have the empathetic link with Chew? Just to say thank you.
that's an interesting one. The last, before everything happened and the big flash occurred and you found yourself back in the past, if you can apply such a word anymore, which, yes, actually, you absolutely can. But before it happened, you got the sense of Chew and the multiple Ghee'Tchu'Nee who were there, not attached to him, but, mentally linked with him. Rather, I should say. Let's not assume gender on something that's just a giant head. You had a very big sense of enthusiasm and hope. Probably in regards to hope that they might see you again someday. But they were definitely very pleased with your progress, and as such, who knows? You may well see them again. But as of right now, there's no active link with Chew anymore. So, yeah. Well done, folks. You transcended the notion of time for a brief time. And returned back in time.
The Vulcan Science Academy are going to be really happy with us. Time travel is impossible.
When we get the visit for the Temporal Agency, we're going to have to come up with... Well, technically nothing happened, so why are you here?
Yeah, nothing happened.
Technically it was first contact, right? So we just blamed entirely on the race that we met.
technically it was a first contact.
And we were fully supervised by people who knew what they were doing.
And the scene cuts to back. You've got Vibers sitting on a deck chair on the top of the torpedo module, going, "I'm having my fettle, surely."
As the klaxon goes off to someone is back.
Matt,
Yes.
Matt, when I go down with my data pads, can I attach a strap on it and fix it?
Absolutely, you can.
Keychain. Literally, things you fix it to your belt and other into it.
Yep, congratulations, guys. Thank you very much. This was the 3-part episode Keyhole of Eternity, and you have successfully completed it.
Yay!
Well done. Weirdest shore leave ever, but also the best.
I'm looking forward to the report back to Starfleet when they say, so you basically saved the day and then also stopped an anomaly sort of like coming into existence and wrecking a planet and its population, but there's no evidence that you even did anything. I suppose next you'll be saying you want a medal for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's sort of like, how are we ever going to prove that this happened apart from, the data that's probably still in Hello and that's in my ocular implant and Caval's ocular implant. Like,
it's gonna be an interesting one.
Is
well,
the data
we'll leave
in
it.
your implant?
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, we didn't check that.
Well,
The
you didn't
captain's
specify that you were gonna roll back your ocular implants, so.
She would say she wasn't.
It's fine. We'll let the captain do the talking on that.
She says thanks. In that, I'm not sure that's a good thing.
Andrews, there's one thing that still bothers me. You never said what those changes in the command structure you saw in the future were.
Never will.
Yeah.
No, cool. Unless there's anything specific you guys want to mention at this point. So how do you drink a pina colada?
Thing that Natala doesn't know yet. The isolytic bursts that she set off using the Klingon bodies in the explosion that didn't happen, in the timeline that didn't happen, are something that will be banned as part of the peace agreement between the Federation and the Klingons at the end of this war. So she hasn't committed a war crime yet.
Right. Gotcha. So she did and simultaneously didn't.
Thing that is not yet a crime.
Wow, this was a mind twister of an episode. I hope everybody enjoyed that as much as we enjoyed playing it. This was great for me because I basically got to sit back and listen to some very smart people rattle off very smart things.
When was that? When were we listening to someone else? Because we were all here.
I don't know what you're on about. We've not been here. We've not been to a session in 3 weeks.
No,
Wait,
he specified smart people.
Are you telling me that you guys were so successful in reversing the course of time that this actual roleplay session, didn't actually occur?
Matt, cut the stream right now.
Before we break the universe, let's cut the stream, quick.
No, just for the YouTube VOD, you say, so this thing never happened because you changed time, and then end the video.
You know what? I might just... Oh dear. Well, thank you very much for taking part in this, guys. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed running it. This was a different one.
Immensely.
It was very good.
Mm-hmm.
It was very, very Star Trek, very sciencey. So there we go. But a good bit of action thrown in there as well, including an annoying little green fella.
And I proved the Moss is stronger than the Disruptor.
What was that, Jan? Sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that there was no action.
There was no. Yeah, indeed.
Technically.
Technically. Okie doke. Yep, thanks to my intrepid crew as per usual for this extraordinarily good episode. Thanks to everyone who tuned in. I hope you enjoyed watching it as much as we enjoyed playing it. As per usual, I will ask everybody to please be kind to each other and watch out for yourselves and everybody else. And remember to practice what the Vulcans practice. And no, I'm not talking about Kolinar and purging your emotions. I'm talking about infinite diversity in infinite combinations. And also for you to all live long and prosper as we close our hailing frequencies. See you around, guys.